Like, I never really noticed a huge difference.
You don't have to stop being creative. You don't have to stop being imagined. You just didn't hear about how worlds conceptualize, because it's always such a big if that's a big really multiple gods exist in this world. Right is human to edit divine.
I mean, like, I got really excited when I joined up the other day. I fell into the rabbit hole. We're going to.
I love having new blood.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Chatterbox, the semi-official podcast of Lacie's Box, World Without Corners, an independent roleplay group that was conceptualized in 2017 and established officially in 2018. Episode 1, What the Wardens Found. Lacie's Box is an online written roleplay community that aims to gather RP enthusiasts from whatever part of the Philippines, and Chatterbox is our attempt at broadcasting these ideas elsewhere, where within the community and out of it. For context, this first episode is mainly geared towards understanding exactly where Lacie's Box originated from, because the concept of Lacie and the Lacieverse was actually established from an RP that was that launched in 2018, I think in April, I believe. So the community might actually be celebrating its anniversary soon next year, which is exciting. And today, our podcast is going to be hosted by myself. I'm Citty. I'm an independent illustrator, voice actor, and an expressive arts therapist in training, along with Ollie and Arc, who are with me today. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
First of all,
Well, after
I
your
feel
introduction.
really bad because
Yeah.
all those credentials sound so legit, and I'm just
Exactly, right?
dude.
It's like
dude.
art therapist, illustrator. I'm like,
I draw.
Excuse me, like, excuse me, Mr. Arc. It's just like, oh, you're also an illustrator, and I'm just like, yes, I am human trash sitting in front of his PC, speaking to the world. It's like, not exactly the best introduction, you know?
yeah, I mean, like,
Takes
okay,
a
hold
long
on. Like,
time.
but like, you put yourself next to that opening introduction from City. It's like from first place down to the little people.
No, you
Like-
see.
Okay, so wait,
There's a
wait.
podium, okay? There's a podium. There's gold, silver, and bronze, right? We clearly know who's the gold
Okay,
medalist, right?
Am I?
And it
am I
just goes
silver
down
here?
from there. So we have
Yes,
the
we can
silver
see.
medalist in Arc, and then like
I'll take
scraping
it.
the
I'll
bottom
take
of
it
the
over.
barrel with the least credentials among everyone. I was like,
It's
kinda,
okay. The
kinda
bottom
just
of the
there.
barrel has the best flavor.
That's not
First
wrong.
of all,
okay.
so-
we are not food here. I am not
in the middle
edible.
of the barrel.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's okay.
stop.
Okay.
Let's get this all
Silver.
rolling. Silver
I'm
medalist.
silver. Arc. What is Arc? What am I? I yes, exactly as you said. I draw. I draw backgrounds. I draw backgrounds in Toei and Toei. Oh my god. I draw backgrounds in Toei and I RP, and that's pretty much my life aside from games. And you, there from the bottom of the barrel.
Hey, my name is Ollie. As you can tell, I have nothing to contribute other than my lovely voice. Hi guys, I'll be your host. I hope you love me and our podcast. Yay!
Yay.
Yay!
That was the worst introduction, but at least we started. Okay. So
Shut up!
Okay,
Bottom of the barrel speaking. You have no right
It's
to
okay,
comment.
guys. It's fine. Don, you're in charge of editing this in post.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep most of it in. I'm not gonna
Oh god,
lie.
this is
It's just the hectic opening. But yeah, okay, go.
Okay, all right. Oh man, thanks. It's great to work with these people. This is
Is it
actually
though?
our first.
Is it?
It
though?
is definitely it is. Oh man, I can only say so much. It's your choice if you want to be convinced. But
Fair enough.
this is actually the
fair
first time that we're taking on this sort of endeavor. We actually had this idea for a podcast planned way early in this year. We just never really got around to conceptualizing it and executing it until much recently. So we're quite excited. And likely so, we have a right to be, because our guests today are actually the founder and co-founder, or at least the team, part of the team who facilitated the actual conception of itself, as well as the initial RP. So I have with me today Miwa and Sara.
Maybe I'll just go first and we'll edit it.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about
This
it.
is like the,
This is-
the meeting of introverts anonymous. Would you like to introduce yourselves? And then absolute
We
silence.
should
Like,
put like the crickets.
Miwa can't can't
my goodness.
unmute.
It's okay.
Okay.
Hello, Sarah.
Well-
it's nice to meet you.
Okay. It's nice to meet you too. So I'm Sara. I'm the co-founder for Lacie's Box, and although I eventually left the admin team, I have modded various RP projects like Through the Pages, the first one, and the sequel, Arc. I worked in Bishamonten, Heartbreak Rakuen, and Myths and Mythos, and I intend to keep modding forever until I have children and after. Maybe I don't even need children. I just need RP.
This
Sounds like the
with
life right there.
that is asserting dominance with like your confidence in your lifestyle.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
are you going to introduce your children to the world of RP?
Yes, of course.
Can totally see it now.
Family
Like
business.
the first thing that one of the first words they learn is OOC.
Yeah, I have to teach them the
Oh my
difference
God.
between the curved brackets and the box brackets.
Oh boy. Yes, for everybody who doesn't know, there is a format, so if you haven't actually checked out those pages yet, we recommend that you do.
Yeah,
my.
we're not gonna cover that in this.
Not in this,
Really?
not in this episode. Soon.
History. Is the founder unmuted yet? Hello.
Yes. Miwa, are you with us today?
Yeah, Discord is no
There
longer
we
trying.
go.
There
Let's
we
go. Let's go.
I walked in right into like Sarah saying he will introduce RP to her children, and I'm after her. Okay. So hi guys, I'm Miwa. I I actually don't know how to introduce myself in this context. It's different from how I do it in class. But I guess I'd say I'm a writer. I try to reply. I've been more of like I like conceptualizing more than, executing. That's why Sara is here. And I play gacha games. That's mostly what I do outside my work.
Lovely.
And I manage projects. I'm actually I help around with the admin stuff in LB, and I guess right now I'm working on 2 different RPs that aren't mine. I'm helping out 2 different RPs aside from that are coming next next chapter. So I hope you guys will check that out.
God, I am excited for next chapter. I have no idea
I
what's
am
there yet.
quite
despite
excited.
being on the admin team. I don't know what's next. I'm just waiting like the rest of you.
It's a surprise for everyone, I suppose.
See, guys, we're organized. We know
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah, I had to just seg into advertising.
It's
Oh, man.
hectic but fulfilling. All right.
Yes.
So I guess one of the first things we do is we're going to feature a lot about the Lacieverse, aside from the fact that it's Lacie Box. We're gonna find out how that all works and how it all ties together and why Lacie, who Lacie, why is
What
the woman?
Lacie?
When?
Oh my
Why
God.
is she?
So we got the when out of the way. 2018. We just need the why, who, what.
Okay, so let's start with what? What is Lacie's Box? But what is Lacie?
Truly.
Lacie, the
Because
entity
that's
for,
how we roll. Will the founders tell us a little something about it?
So the name Lacie, that wasn't actually the original name we were supposed to give the community. It was supposed to be Felicity. But when we were talking about, the abbreviation or like the acronym for it was gonna be FB, which is like Facebook already. So it's like, no, let's go with something else, which was like LB. Lacie doesn't feel like what do you call this? Lacie doesn't feel complete. So what was it? Lacie's what? And then we went with like, how about we go with the box? Something like Pandora's box, right? And Lacie came from like in the community would see very often, which is like Alice in Wonderland. Lacie is actually one of the characters there, but her name is just like one of the 3 sisters. But another inspiration was also Pandora Hearts, where Lacie is one of the characters. And all of the things we got from childhood are amusement with gods, which is mostly me, and a lot of the concepts in the divine and the multiverse and everything that we could do with creating a universe where writers could put whatever they wanted. We came up with like Lacie's Box, but the lore for Lacie's Box wasn't really like that solid until a year or so after the first TTP. So when we went with the first TTP, it was just like we had the goddess named Lacie, and we had like this follower in a different kind of like different setting that is parallel to where the writers are. I guess that's where it started. Like all of our ideas for Lacey's box, we just do it. It's like let's do it, and then maybe the reasons and like everything else would like tie itself in the end, and it did. And then we just went from
Yes,
there.
and I was sucked into it by someone who is not in this recording yet. But I don't know. Wait, did everyone hear? Like, were all of you with Miwa's group? Because I know a lot of people who were involved in Lacey's box from the start were all part of Toshin, right? Weren't they?
Kind of, not really. Not really.
What are you talking about?
Really?
Well,
I don't know who those are.
I'm asking.
The initial
Okay.
group actually wasn't the admin group right now. There are different we have people leave the admin group, like join the admin group. But the first I would say the founding team weren't from Toshin, which is like just in case for anyone who's listening, it's an organization where we came from. Most of the role players that started joining the community came from the specific org where we did role playing. So when we started Lacey's Box, I talked to Sara and a couple of other people who were interested in creating like an RP or like a community, but they weren't mostly from Toshin. It just so happened now most of them came from the organization. I would say because of close circles of friends. It's usually just gonna come from there, and then we just started growing after like a
Yeah,
year.
how many members do we have now? I swear, Lacey LB has grown so
I
I
much.
think it's around 150, 120.
150. That's incredible.
We're
120, I'd say it's very safe.
a growing community, and we're on our 5th chapter of RPs, I believe. Which, for context, it's usually that's like one chapter every year, and every chapter is around like 4 RPs. Is that right? Is my estimation
Yeah,
correct?
they're
Around
about-
4
it's about
chapters,
4,
four RPs per chapter, and we're on our 5th chapter, which means we've had around 20 role plays, both private and public.
My God.
Which is exciting. So if you are one of those people who have been lucky enough to participate in all 20 of them, congratulations.
Is there,
I
is it
honestly
fortunate?
honestly doubt that there is a person who was completely active in all 20. Like somebody, whoever you are, if you do exist, please tell me. I want to know your secret.
I'm gonna give you a medal.
Yeah, I'd give you a medal, man. Like I'll give you. Like, what do you want? I'll send you
Like,
something.
we'll give you our first merch.
Yeah, exactly. Like we'll have a T-shirt. Congratulations, you survived.
Yeah, it's gonna
Tyler
just like be a
gets the first
survivor
dibs
shirt.
then.
Oh man.
I was in my first
On the
email.
other hand, if you're just joining us recently,
Yes.
welcome to Lacey's Box. We hope you enjoy the madness.
Yes. Oh, okay. So for anyone who is only recently in the community and perhaps hasn't partaken in any of these RPs, they can get very long. A single RP is about 8 weeks, and that's about continuous.
A standard,
Yeah, the
yeah.
standard RP can take like 8 to 9 weeks.
Mm-hmm. 9 weeks, yeah.
Including a break week. Yeah, there's like 1 break week, but that's still like 9 weeks of showing up about every day. If you're really that active, that every day for 9 weeks, minus Sundays, because that's God's day.
Thank God.
Jesus.
That's the problem.
We respect Jesus, so.
I'm doubtful. I am honestly doubtful.
You're outing
With the things
yourself,
I've seen. Hey,
sir.
hey! I never said anything about them. I just said I was doubtful about some members
days.
of the community. May or may not include myself. We'll neither confirm nor deny that assumption. But
Whoa, this conversation
We
is going
respect,
off the
we
rails.
respect everyone of all denominations in this
Oh, yes.
community.
Definitely. No
You may
judging.
praise Lacie and we would not judge. I personally believe that Miwa probably already somewhat is, from the Church of Lacie by now.
Lacie, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's a foundress.
The
The
foundress
mother.
and- You are the nun, Miwa! Congratulations!
Miwa.
You're finally there.
Oh man, if you hadn't had a chance to check out our latest meme introductions of the LB admin team, I think you will find the source material over there.
Wait,
Okay.
wait, guys, I have some interesting information. I just googled how many people does it take to start a religion, and it says you just
What?
need 3 people to start a religion.
Well,
Oh,
We're way past
We
that.
have like 230
Yeah.
followers.
we're more than 3.
And we have 150 members.
Congratulations,
So at
y'all.
this point,
We're a religion now. Welcome everybody to the
We're
Church of
officially a
Lacie.
cult.
Wonderful.
Congratulations. Welcome to Chatterbox, where we talk about religion.
Spread the word of the
Well, it is a Sunday.
is a Sunday. Oh dang,
It
you're
is
Praise-
right.
Sunday. Oh,
praise
God.
the Lord.
It
Praise
is
the
God's
Lord.
Day. Oh
It's
my
God's
God.
day.
We were never
It's all
specific
God's
about
day.
which god.
I'm
Yes, it worked.
definitely going to just like edit that part in where you tell us that we're officially a religion. Anyway,
Okay,
so
just go from your previous question.
yeah, what do we need to define what RP is? I don't think. If you're on this podcast, I don't think anyone. If you're on this podcast and you don't know what an RP is, like,
Well,
probably-
our next
How did you find this? If you don't know what
How
an
did you-
RP is, how did you find it?
yeah, it's like, how do you find this if you don't know what an RP is?
And like, how did you put up with us? How have you been listening to us jabber on for 30 minutes if you don't even know what an
30
RP
minutes.
is? Like, I am mind blown.
I mean, it's not gonna be 30 minutes when I've edited my.
It's gonna be like 20.
Okay, 20 minutes then. Oh, boo-hoo, boo. I'm 10 minutes off. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have committed a cardinal sin against
Did
Lacie.
a lot.
Okay,
Oh,
so
no. Great,
yes.
great.
we know what Lacie's box is, why it's Lacie's box. So
Mhm.
if that's Lacie's box, though, then what is Lacieverse? Like, how does it, like, are all of the RPs that are under Lacie's box part of one multiverse? Like, is that, and did you even intend that in the first place for it to be a Lacieverse and not just, the one thing? Because it's a little, I know it's a little bit of a blurred line by now, since a lot of the verse behind Lacie's box is also the lore behind the first RP.
Yeah.
So, like,
Mhm.
did those two happen at the same time, or?
Or did one
Mhm.
thing just lead to another and happy accidents happen? And here we
Yeah,
are.
that's actually a good
I
question.
feel like Sara would be able to talk more about the Lacieverse, as in like what do you call the complexities of it. I think
Mhm.
Sara would be able to discuss that more. But just to like kind of like start how to go about it, we felt at
Mhm.
least that it's always been there, like where we wanted to take this kind of like the multiverse, because we coined the term Lacieverse before we even finalized everything else. But like
Mhm.
for Sara and I at least, it was always something at the back of our mind. We just didn't get to like put it on paper what we wanted it to be like. Like if somebody asks us right now what the Lacieverse is, we can answer. But back then, we probably have like the same thoughts of how we wanted to describe it, but didn't really have like a solid way to kind of like explain it to anyone. So it came about seeing different RPs and understanding how the community was seeing their role plays, because every role play has like a different kind of verse. And if we wanted to tie it all in like a single place, how would we do that? I was always about stuff like
Mhm.
having communities and there's a lore behind them. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like baby metal and like other kind of like bands who did that. So they had the lore for themselves. It was kind of like a meta kind of lore that involved like the audience, them as the performers. And I kind of wanted to do something like that for Lacie's box, but we didn't know yet because we didn't know how the community perceived their creations. We didn't know how the community sees their characters. So after that, after we got that out of the way, we started like forming what the Lacieverse was.
Mhm.
I think Sara, you can.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Basically the Lacieverse. When we first started out, we just thought that it was something that occurred within this vague box, which is the world without corners, which is quite ironic since a box has a lot of corners. But as we were planning for TTP2, we decided to structure it out a bit more because we knew that this would be important as more and more chapters came into fruition. So when we got to TTP2, we already had the overall working lore as a backdrop for this. And in this lore, rather than a box, Lacie's box became an object of power located within the multiverse. And the multiverse, or the Lacieverse rather, is broken into two major components, which fans from TTP1 will remember as called the Overworld and the Underworld. And in between those two spaces is the incorporeal location called the Null Ground, which is originally where the box was found. But then a bunch of things happen involving Lacie, who in this version was something like a newly minted god, and the box which holds us all of this power starts moving around, and that is how we decided what is considered canon. But in relation to the other RPs, these were broken either into the overworld or the underworld based on quote-unquote how much magic they used. We were off the idea that magic as an element was rather dense and would naturally seep downwards to the underground, while a different type of element called soul existed in the overworld. And RPs, or universes that seem to predominantly have one or the other, would be located in those general areas.
I remember being part of this discussion with you guys because I was I had to actually interview these two a little when conceptualizing my RP as well. Because I find that the Lacieverse lore is really rich, so I wanted to see if I could make an RP out of it. And it's just so interesting to hear the part where actually the universes are actually also segregated between being overworld or underworld based on their magic density, because now it makes me like look back on all of the chapters that we've had so far and I'm like, oh god, I never realized that some of those were also in underworld and some were in overworld, because I just kind of assumed everything was overworld except for TTP. But that was my misconception. You know, we learn.
I'm not gonna lie.
Everyone's learning here.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a very fluid RP system. Like,
Yeah.
I never really noticed a huge difference between things. You know, it's always very clear, very concise, and then wow, everything makes sense. It's just like
Yeah.
somehow a god does exist. You know, everything just falls into place. Like when you play, it's like yeah, dude,
Happy
it's like
Sunday,
it's like,
everyone.
it's like when you play Tetris and you're just getting all the wrong pieces, and the next thing you know, that that vertical 4 block comes down,
Oof.
and next you have that entire line where it's just perfect, and everything disappears, and you're just like, damn, it all makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
And all I had was the Z cube in the beginning. What the fuck?
Okay, we needed the pieces, which are Miwa and Sara.
Exactly. So God does exist.
Actually, technically,
Confirmed here.
multiple gods exist in this world.
Yeah. Yes.
There we
8
go.
of them.
So confirmed.
Yeah, they
Gods
do.
do
Oh,
exist.
Lacie is just one of them.
is it going to be a spoiler to talk about the other gods in the Lacieverse? Or, because I know that there were supposedly plans to speak more of them,
Mhm.
but other than, I mean, like in the lore doc, I think they're name dropped, but I don't know if there was really anything else said about them. But,
Considering we've had like 2 roleplays related to the Lacie's verse, officially the Lacieverse, right? TTP1,
Mhm.
the first one, and then TTP2. So that's interesting. Will they be revealed at any time?
Well,
Sure.
depends how you look at it. Because, I mean, although they may not be noted by name, these gods have actually been with us since the very first RP and in all of the other RPs, just not in the ways that you expected it.
okay, that's a big.
Conspiracy
That's the,
theory.
I like
yeah,
that
this
answer.
is gonna make me relook
Conspiracy.
at everything that we've done. I'm just looking at my hands right now.
Yes,
thinking
you
about
have
life.
all been using
There's-
them.
It's just like
See, we've all been in a cult and we didn't even know it.
that's how a cult works.
Yeah,
They just
this
pull you in.
affirmation.
Yeah, they just
It's not so
you
much
know.
of a spoiler, I would say. The Lacieverse lore, as Yung said, is already
Yes, I am human.
kind of like released in the community, right? But following with what Sara said, how the gods were, what do you call this, assigned, they weren't so much of like, you know, the gods we know in like mythologies. Like there's a god of the sun, the god of like the dead, etc. For this one, it's more of like, for example, one of the gods is like the god of creation, the other one is like a divine inspiration, which like, kind of like where supposedly where the writers would be getting their divine inspiration. So it's really tied to how the community is as well. That's why the different gods were, what do you call this? There's like Queen of Hearts, which is like the patron of relationships, which is like the ships in the RP. And then we have like the drama and genre. So these gods manifest like differently in all of the role plays. But as how it ties to like the Lacieverse, as is with, you know, kind of like a short background since we're already here, on how these gods like are connected to the Lacieverse itself. So there were 8 gods, but the 8th god is Lacie, but she is the youngest one, right? So before she came into like the what do you call this, the council, I don't know how you call it. So there were 7 gods who just did whatever they wanted. It wasn't like it was only just when humans or like people, mortals, started worshipping them or whatever, that they got this like assignments. But supposedly they were good at specific things and just did what they wanted. But when Lacie came in, she wanted order. She was like, this isn't okay. We should be doing some sort of organization. We are gods, etc. And they thought she was like, she didn't know her place, basically.
The audacity.
Yeah.
Fucking audacity.
That's why she's all about like balance, everything balance. So as punishment, what the first god did was, the god of creation did was, let's put you into like a universe, like one of my different universes that I created. Let's put
My AU.
and that where the box was placed, like the original box was placed, and where Lacie was placed, became the Lacieverse. So it's kind of like, it's not too far to say that the Lacieverse acts as part of like the trials of Lacie, whatever it is. We wouldn't be speaking about it, but it's something that kind of like from the story you can derive from.
Y'all so mysterious. Damn. How you?
Well, I'm like slightly privy to some of the mystery, but that's all I have. And
Mod privilege.
like,
oh, so
yeah,
privileged.
just like a little, these are a little mod privilege of being in the discussions. Like, oh, I know about that.
Yes.
But all it does, that happens from knowing a little more is that I just have more questions. So it doesn't help that much.
The more you know, the more you don't know.
Yeah, the more you know, the more you want to know. It's an endless well, an endless thirst.
Endless thirst? What?
Oh, man.
Huh? Excuse me, what?
No, that's you. That's not the thirst I'm talking. That's just you. That's just you.
I was just kidding, man. Why you have to do me so dirty like that?
Well, you kind of do
Like-
it yourself.
Because
Ow.
I have the freedom of being able to edit this how I want. Okay, so
Okay,
whatever
so we're
I
taking
say,
that out. Nice.
or I will keep it in. It's my power.
Yeah, this
Sounds
This
like
is
a
blatant abuse
minor
of power.
Lacieverse god in the
This is
making.
blatant
Yeah.
abuse of power.
Editing.
Yeah.
I suddenly
Yes.
remembered that thing Miwa posted in one of those threads. It was like, what was it? To reply is to something and to edit is
Yeah,
divine.
to write
My God.
is, what do you call this? To err is
To write is
human,
human.
to edit divine.
Divine. Oh my
That
god.
was perfect.
Would wear that on the
I like that.
Yeah,
Oh.
to write is human and to edit is divine. She posted that because she was trying to reply to a thread that needed a lot of
Yeah.
quick processing, but she didn't have time to type it all out, so she just like typed her summary.
This
and
sounds like
ended
Miwa.
with, to write
I
is human.
can
edit is
believe this.
divine.
I can 100% believe it. This sounds
And
like
Yeah,
yeah,
by
for
that,
me,
Miwa.
that if Lacie had a Bible, that has to be in there because like
New
it
merch,
is
you
part of my
guys.
creed.
The
Yeah,
Lacie Box
actually,
Bible.
I would definitely get a mug that just says to write is human, to edit is divine.
Nice.
Oh,
I like that idea. New merchandise.
new merch. So for the first 5 callers, we have free merchandise soon to be
Oh my
announced.
God.
Nobody calls anymore.
Okay.
Nobody calls.
No one called.
The first
We
5
won't call
people
you.
to message our Facebook page. Well, maybe
Okay.
one day.
I would be distressed if I saw a message on the Facebook page because a lot of the downside of being on a platform like Facebook is you get a lot of random people messaging you.
That
It's
is
a little
true.
scary
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah. We'll
It's
get
like
I
those
got
people
so
who
many-
randomly like your page after like 5
Mhm.
years of it being inactive, and you're just like, what?
I will tell you guys because I have a character who is Indian and his name is a female Indian name. I got a lot of Indian guys in my inbox and I'm just like, you guys need to stop.
Very.
Okay, it was a little scary. Anyway.
We'll get into those next episode. I believe we'll be talking more about like the RP itself and the platform because, admittedly, Facebook has been quite useful for at the beginning of all this
Beginning.
conceptualization. But over time, there's been some improvements or declines
steps
on
forward,
on the
3
platform
steps
that
back.
make it a little difficult, yeah, to navigate.
Easter Zuck,
in
please
that
speak.
regard. So,
That's fine. It's fine.
oh man,
We
yeah.
will tackle that another time. So
And another time. I did have a question for Miwa and Sara.
go ahead.
Yeah, I just curious about something because I'm always interested to hear about how worlds were conceptualized, because it's always such a big endeavor to make a piece of lore from scratch. It's kind of like when you're conceptualizing something for a D&D campaign, it's the same thing. You got to start from somewhere. So I'm just curious to know if you began with the concept first of Lacie's box or the Lacieverse and then created the characters for it, or you started with the concept of the character first and then you molded the world around them. I'm interested in that stuff. So if you have an answer, I'd love to hear it.
Well, Miwa, I think we know it was definitely the latter, that this whole thing was made just for these two people that we
Yes.
birthed years ago.
And another simple.
That's fair.
This is their world. We're just living in it.
No, this is exactly why we're talking about it. Let's hear it. If it's okay to talk about, though. Unless it's a secret for future lore.
Well, everyone thinks it started with Grimm and Euclid, but actually it started with Agony and Crow.
Can you give us a little background on who those people are, just in case?
Miwa?
No, you.
Okay, fine. All right.
Okay,
Oh, no.
then you go first.
All right, you go
I'll
then.
Panic when they go off.
Miwa.
Okay.
No, you.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll go first. But
Go ahead,
as a
go ahead.
background with Sara and I. Wait, do you hear the dogs barking? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So I guess we have a little advertisement break from our sponsor.
No, I'm sorry. I'm here again.
Okay.
It's just like I wanted to stop the dogs, but I realized they were like outside and not mine. Anyway,
Oh,
First thing is outside, the second thing is not mine.
Bork's back. I think just to kind of like start the conversation for this one and kind of like to give a structure in how Sara and I work. This mostly just works because it's, for me at least, it works for me because it's Sara that I work with. So how it goes is like when we do things, I'm the type to just say things, like write them down, any idea that pops up in my head. And Sara somehow tends to like create the connections among them. He's like, you said something about this. How about it's because of what you said about this one? Then it always sort of becomes like that. And it started with two characters from an old RP, which is from 2015, 2016. This was one of the last RPs. I think one of the last role plays that we had in the previous community but this is kind of like an after story. So the concept was there was this like girl who was very hungry for money and just chased around people, I guess.
Girl, you and me both.
She used her sense of smell to kind of like find, I don't know, whoever. And then she found this man who is Sara's character. And he was like, you smell like money.
Which wasn't true. He was quite poor.
Which was true. And then
oh boy.
then out of the blue, I don't, it was just there. Like I thought she came from like a fairy tale. She looked like a fairy tale character. So I was like, maybe she was from a book. She was like sort of concept, whatever. And she was there. And when she was talking to this guy, she suddenly said, I just typed that, do you know the pages? Are you being chased by the pages? Do you smell ink?
Oh,
She
God.
And I didn't know where this was going to take us, but Sara went along with the conversation that the two had, and then that's it. we were
Wow,
like,
that was the Lacie
we were like, we don't
creation
know where
story
to
right
put
there.
these two characters. They don't fit in any of the universe we had because we didn't have so much of a world that was like high fantasy. It was more of like, this is like a city or like an urban setting, somewhere in the overworld as we'd call it. And they'd have like bits of magic. But this one felt like they weren't even from here. And given that, we were like, we need to put them somewhere. I love them, put them somewhere. And then from an RP, thinking of an RP, I was like, why not a community instead of an RP? Let's just make a community where we can place this, because where will we find writers anyway? Then from there, and yeah, that's where they came from. They went from this world to that world through the pages, and it evolved from there. The characters were Agony and Crow. they weren't even the reason the world was created, like in canon, but they were the reason we started this as writers. And oh my god, I don't want to cry, but they
No.
but yes.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
just recently we had like a very sentimental moment with them as writers. So yeah.
I see.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We all
I think
had
it's your turn
feelings.
to
Okay.
catch this one.
Okay, I'll catch the potato. So after Miwa explains that basically it was like
like this.
finding these rescue animals and needing to create a forever home for them, and they were not even
Oh
the
my
main
God.
characters. They were
Ah.
practically background characters for a while until we had a use. We were happy just to have them frolicking, in the background of this world that we made that could house them, and so they were a part in TTP1. And the reason, or rather this sentimental moment that Miwa talks about, is because they made a comeback in TTP2. And it was in this RP that they had their canonical death, basically. So they are the reason we started everything, but they're not even going to be there for the end of whatever this is. We have several installments already planned for TTP. They won't be there.
Why
But
do you have to say it that way?
I'm just
Mhm.
but
Oh
they
my
are
God.
somewhere.
Hurting
There
my
is a
feelings.
place in the Lacie verse for lost souls like them.
And we don't know yet, but find out next time.
Aw.
Sana all.
So honored.
I'm a
To
drink
be
my
there.
tea.
Yes.
I mean,
Nice.
like, this is the origin story for you guys, and like it's very interesting for me because my first RP ever, my first like text RP ever was TTP. So I was sucked into this community through TTPs. I've been here forever, and I was here for their deaths. I did have the feels because they were my
That's like
mama and pawpaw in several ways.
That's great, though. It's because my first introduction into this whole community was basically Toshin, the group that you guys were describing earlier. For context for people, that's actually an organization that dealt with Japanese pop culture, hence why RP, I think, was introduced in that group at first. And my first RP was actually in that group, Garasu no Gakuen, which was not part of the Laceyverse yet, because when that one came around, it was much later, I think, because Garasu no Gakuen was around 2015, I believe, and then Lacie came out 2018, so quite a big jump between those two. That's how I got introduced to the community in the first place. So this is great background for me, because I confess that even if I'm part of the administrative team here in LB, I did not have a lot of context for why
Wait.
this was the name
Wait,
of the group.
so wait,
At
hang
all.
on. So am I the only person here who's not part of the mod team?
Sarah.
Yeah.
No.
Sarah
I
isn't
Yeah,
anymore.
he was a
But
founding
Sarah
member.
was.
Yeah.
No, but she's going to return to the mod team because she's gonna continue modding again,
I-
right?
Oh, you mean admin?
No. Sorry.
What team?
To be
Oh,
specific, Sarah isn't in the admin.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
She's modding,
Admin.
but she's not
Mm-mm-mm.
admin anymore.
okay.
Yes. So modding is different. The LB admin is different from the
Yes.
from moderators for
Admin people are just
Don't worry.
logistics, We just
yeah.
set up
We just
things.
need a name for
Yeah.
it.
I think I'm the only person in my department, just so you know. Like, I'm the only. Whenever
So
there's
guys,
a report
Arc-
from creatives, it's just me.
Arcane, we are currently recruiting for the department under Arcane. Any interested creatives, any people interested, please send your portfolio
Team.
to.
Yeah, it's pretty
The
chill
art.
here, guys. Go join our department in arts.
Shit,
Oh, we
because
do.
they're the only one.
Says
Yeah,
Arcane
I'm-
with eye bags the size of thumbs.
Yeah.
It's really
All
chill,
I
guys.
do.
Dying under work.
No,
Anyway, okay.
man. Thank you. That was a really good introduction. I definitely understand the need to feel like you have to preserve a world even past its the culmination of a story. It always feels like you want more. So it's kind of like the equivalent of writing a fan fiction to your own
it is.
story.
It
except
kind of
it's canon.
is.
So I
It's
guess
a
it's a part two.
Cumulative. Not cumulative. Words. English.
The-
Con.
Cul-
com-
culminating.
What do you call
No.
when like people work together? Like not even collaborative.
Collaborative.
Nice. My English is off point,
Fine.
but it's a collaborative
It's okay. It's quite
writing
late,
project.
actually.
with an established lore, and
Hmm.
it's a great fan fiction basically, with so many people. Like, it is because everyone's sort of writing their own story within a pre-established sort of universe, which was made by other people in the same community.
Mhm.
As a little personal anecdote, taking on from that, actually, I do find that one of the biggest appeals of Lacey's Box is the fact that we have people who like developing lore, like they like creating something, which helps people who are less on the lore side be able to participate in a writing project.
Right,
Because, sometimes you want to write something, but you don't know what you want to write about, and you just want to, you want to have characters, you want to experience reading something, you want to be invested in a story, and you get all of that from this setup that LB has, because we have people who have the energy for some reason. Despite being adults, for some reason, they still have the energy to create an entire world just so that everyone else can enjoy themselves in this experience of being both writer and reader.
It's
I don't know.
for sure.
For me,
Yeah.
that is one of the. I mean, like, I got really excited when I joined LB, and I fell into the rabbit hole. If we're going to,
Oh, it was deep. It was a
we
deep
just
one.
say,
It was a deep one.
right? I mean,
Oof.
I definitely fell hard for the place. I only knew Nana from here. I mean, like, again, not in the chat. The only person that I knew in the whole community was her, and then I got to meet all of you, and it's been great.
Yes. Actually, that gives me an idea for another question. I know that we're almost to the end of the time, but I was curious about something because because the community has definitely grown a lot in the past few years, and hearing its origins from you guys, from Miwa and Sara, where it began and how it developed, I'm just wondering if you ever anticipated it becoming this big of a community, or a community at all. Because it sounded like you said you just wanted it to be like a forever home for your characters, and if you didn't put this out to everybody else, like you didn't discuss it with us, we wouldn't know who these are, so it would just remain between you two, or at least the people that you've shared it with in the past. So I'm just wondering if you ever anticipated it becoming as big of an endeavor as it is now, and what are your thoughts on it?
Wow, that's a sentimental question.
So do we get a sentimental
Oh my
answer?
gosh, I
Do we
hope-
get a
We
sentimental
got the
answer?
tissue
I
here.
didn't
We
hear.
got the tissue ready.
Iiyak
Okay,
na yan.
On my
Iiyak
end,
na yan.
it's like we didn't know if we'd even get to chapter 5. I mean, that's quite long. It seemed like, well, at least when I was starting it with Miwa, one of my fears was that we would grow old and just not be able to do it anymore.
Define old.
I mean, like, well, we would
Yeah,
start
it's like-
paying taxes and like thinking about furniture. Well, I don't
Wait,
know. but,
so
like,
you don't pay
when
your
we were in
taxes?
school,
Wait.
when we were in school,
Police.
we started as
Retirement
students.
school.
All we had to worry
Okay,
about
okay.
was like our
That's
exams
true.
and maybe
Studying.
little
Yeah.
socials. But now it's like we are looking at time as
Life.
a resource. We're looking at money as something you have to scrape for. Energy is just constantly bleeding out of the many holes that adult life has riddled us with, but we're still here. And I think one of my favorite parts about this community is that it's growing. Like, the veterans slow
the-
down, but there is always new blood. I love the new blood. They are wonderful. Their ideas. I love having new blood mod teams because like they always bring in something new, and
Yeah.
that's important.
Somebody just edit that. We just need to hear Sarah saying, "I love having new
I
blood,"
love-
and then just
I love
stop
having
the
new
edit
blood.
there. Stop that. Yeah, exactly. Just stop it there. Just stop it there.
Very quotable
It's
quotes.
just like, oh my god.
Once again, part of the Bible of Lacie.
Miwa, you wanted to say
That's,
something in
verse 3 or
response to
something.
that?
Mm,
Or did Sarah pretty much cover your thoughts as well?
I think for me, it's somehow, yeah, similar to what Sarah said,
Mm-hmm.
but putting it in a different angle. Because when I started like inviting people, it started with just me chatting someone. What if I make this? Will you join? And like, are you open-minded?
Open-minded ka ba?
Open-minded. ka
Would you like to
ba?
have some coffee?
And,
If you invite more people to the community, it'll grow bigger and you will have more fun.
It was something
Secret.
like that.
Lacey's
but-
box is a cult and a pyramid.
Maybe. But yes, when that came about, the only priority was like kind of like matches what Sarah said about New Blood. The priority was survival.
Oh.
Was how do we sustain this community? Because we didn't, we went here without much of a plan. It's just we love the writing, we love role playing, we love doing what we were doing. But passion is unreliable in a lot of ways. And that's a fear that we do have. I think every day that's something that we go back to. Like, is there going to be let's say we're in chapter 4 now, going in chapter 5. Is there going to be like a chapter 6 or a 7? We don't know. And I think that's it. We just keep going until we can't. And when when I first imagined LB, Lacey's Box, I didn't think it would become how it was right now. I didn't think it would have like a lot of people in it. I didn't think people would be very eager to like create their own role plays, because we came from a community that the moderator team was usually the same bunch of people, because nobody didn't feel it felt like nobody wanted to create. They just wanted to respond. But now people are more active. They're creating more, and that's something that we don't expect. And I think that's how it is for Lacey's Box. It became like an entity of its own. And I don't have like any words, anything I could say about it that would encapsulate the process, encapsulate what it's become now. And as I told Sara before, I think that's how it is. That's every joy of like a writer, right? Like having their materials, having their drafts getting published and becoming like a narrative like to engage with.
Mhm.
And we would like Lacey's Box to be something like that. And kind of like just getting this out of the way. Like I really like, and I think I've used this in different contexts, but specifically for a character that I had in the first RP. When she canonically died, I think one of the things that I wrote was something along the lines of, we're all anecdotes in the end. And regardless of where the community would like to their craft and passion for writing, going back to that statement that we're all anecdotes at the end of it all, I would like Lacey's Box to become a story that people can read and remember fondly. And I think that's what Sara and I just want in the end. Like, let this be a place where you can go back to and feel like you don't have to stop being creative. You don't have to stop being imaginative. You can rest, but it doesn't mean it dies down. Because that's a worry when we're adults, right? We have so many other things, but we feel like creative blocks are happening more often, and it's fine. This place is supposed to be where you come back to they call this expel. Yes, this is where you expel your like creative energy, but this is all a place where we want kind of like recharge just by like looking at the people who are with you.
So it's sort of like a safe spot
Oh.
and a story that writes itself.
Yes.
That's true. That is the benefit of it. Like the benefit of the fact that it's a community and a lore in and of itself is that it's continuously progressing, and there's always new material that you can work with. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to mention it again. Like another personal anecdote. I'm sorry if I'm gonna
Hey,
keep
we
bringing
love
it up,
personal
but, like,
anecdotes.
No. I mean, like, it's
Go
because
ahead.
the fact that it's fine because it's relevant. The fact that you guys made this whole universe where so many stories can coexist is what got me so excited to come up with that RP that I had, which was Rakuen. And like, I think I told Sara that I actually had the idea as early as Arc, which was only our second RP ever in Lacey's. Like, even then I had the idea, man, with these things all happening, like multiple stories. It was implied in TTP that they all happened in one universe. And I just thought, like, man, it would be cool if at some point we get all of these universes and stories, and at some point people can take those characters and reprise it in one place. Like as a kind of crossover event, but it's in lore.
And like an
Right,
RKO
so-
out of nowhere, it happens.
Yeah, but that's not the kind of thing that you can do anywhere else except for a place where it's both a community and a universe, It's such a unique space, and it's just so fueling and inspiring, and it's just fun to play with. You can just do so much with it. So I don't know. I think it's very cool.
It's really cool.
I mean, there's a reason that I joined the mod team so early. Like, I came right from never RPing at all, having RP'd at all, straight into the mod team after one damn RP. It was a hectic 8 weeks to be in, but apparently I came out of it wanting more, so...
So here we are.
You know, yeah, here we are. I mean, I suppose I just want to mention my experience because it's also a testament unto how effective your vision was for the community, because I'm definitely absorbed in it, you know, and I plan to stay here for as long as I can. Even if I'm not writing or if I'm not modding, I want to help people keep doing that because it just seems so cool.
In addition to that, I think it's really cool because it sort of blurs the line between a player character and a non-player character. Because if you're the main character of your own story, you end up just being a side character to another person's story. And in a community like this, I think it's such a unique experience to have that feeling of both being the main character of your own story, but a side character in somebody else. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's such a cool dynamic.
Yeah, to be able to participate in a primary narrative arc, which is what tends to happen in most RPs. Like most RPs, they have the main plot, right? They quote unquote main plot. But I don't think anyone ever feels like just a tool or like a body to move in that plot. They engage with it in a way that they want, and sometimes it mutates the story depending on the way the writer, the mod team wants to navigate it. It can be completely reshaped, or it just becomes like some kind of cathartic experience for whatever character you've created.
Right.
And nobody knows what's gonna happen. It's always exciting that way. Anticipation,
Yeah, there's like a thrill of the spontaneity there.
The thrill of discovery.
Discovery, yes. Exciting. Thanks, guys. That was some great answers. I guess just on a final note, I just wanted to ask if Sara and Miwa, because you've shared so much about the group and how it evolved and your thoughts around that, where do you guys see it going in the next few years? Or for as long as it's like still online or active.
For as long as it's ongoing.
As long as it's ongoing, where do you see it prospectively?
Progressing. What's the next level in the evolution of the story?
In the evolution. Yeah, because you've made it this far, chapter 5. Congratulations.
Congratulations, surviving.
Well, I think we can see now that CittiSparks has taken on a life of its own. It is a mutating creature with several hearts, and one that will probably persist even when we are gone, which is great.
That's another quotable quote for the merch, guys.
Write it down.
That's another one. Write it down.
So many quotable quotes
somebody
from
write
you,
it
Sara.
up.
It's a symbiote.
Oh no, Citti's gonna fuck it.
No, there's a curse.
Oh. No, wait.
This has become a whole other podcast.
Alright, so if you guys like that content, please check out our other podcast, Monster Fuckers Anonymous, on
Jesus.
Spotify.com.
I can just like hear Miwa just dying inside. Just like I did not sign up for this.
Our
but
creation
I'm
is
not
being
mad.
perverted by these
This is,
morons.
what did you say? The thrill of discovery is being executed in this chat. Good job, guys. Lead by example.
Kurashi.
Well, going now into like more like
Okay.
a technical aspect. Sarah,
Oh,
the,
that's
you know,
okay.
metaphorical, whatever it was. For Lacie's box, one is definitely the platform. We're looking at ways to get out of the hellhole that is Facebook now, because it's not been very kind to the platform that we're using, which is Facebook pages. There's a lot of changes with Facebook that a lot of role players and even moderating teams find very frustrating. So
Frustrating to say the least.
yes. And one of the first projects that we'd like to, really push forward with is one, we'll be having our own platform. It's something that's been ongoing for a year, but people are doing different things. But we hope to see signs of it, like kind of like popping its head in the first weeks of like next year maybe. So we're taking a look at one, the platform, and the other one is there is the possibility of creating like smaller circles within LB, because we are private RPs, right? There's a public RP and private RP. So the public RPs are the ones that are open to everyone, and there's private RPs where smaller groups sometimes it's like invite only, but people have changed how they want to go about their private parties. But this commonly has like just a smaller circle with maybe like friends or like people they want to RP with. And at first it was kind of like a scary thing for us like to tackle, because it's like having circles within the box. But we're seeing that it's also kind of like how people want to retreat to smaller spaces, because the community has become bigger, the rooms become bigger, there's more people, so having people kind of like retreat to smaller spaces is understandable. So that's also one place that we're a possibility that we're looking at more, prioritizing, I guess, private creations, and then
Mhm.
let's those private creation sounds weird, but like, but you know what I mean, like private role
Expanding on
plays.
private creations.
Yeah. But definitely we're seeing it as like growing. Okay, go back with a growing entity with different please.
Yes.
Shading,
Yes.
Each part will develop its own sentient
I
brain.
would like to think about it like a pseudo
Oh my.
system. Maybe that's something I'd be happy with. So something like that, like a growing. Let's stop at growing.
Okay. We definitely look forward to the growth of this community in the future, and
we look
in
forward to the
whichever
next
direction it
episode
goes.
of this
Oh yes, the
podcast.
next episode.
Ooh.
We first-
Wait. We should have a really cool
That was
outfit.
my
Wait.
smooth transition.
exactly.
Oh my
But
God.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I guess this is how we're supposed to
well,
end it.
yeah.
We will have
Okay, so we'd like a.
our
You'll find this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anywhere
goodness.
podcasts are available. If you like our podcast and want to help out, we could really use a like and a subscription, as well as check out our Patreon channel on, of course,
review
Patreon.
it, and you have to
You
write
have
a
to write a
review.
review.
Yeah, write a review. Our merch shop will be up next year, and please consider ordering some of our merch if you'd like to continue supporting the channel. Thanks, guys.
What merch?
Bye.
Oh my
No,
god.
okay.
City,
For real,
they don't need to know that yet. They can just pay us and we'll be fine.
Well, I know that it is on the agenda to actually have LacieSparks merchandise at some point, but
Oh my God, what? I
They
was
can
kidding.
pay
What?
New
Yeah,
Blood.
we have an agenda for merch?
Yeah, that's a little spoiler for you who was not on the admin team.
yeah.
This is blatant. This is an abuse of
And a
authority.
spoiler not to everyone who
Yeah.
is listening to this.
we have other things.
Yeah,
planned,
we'll-
but maybe we'll talk about it. We'll slowly trickle it out.
Yeah.
Keep you excited and
Yeah,
wanting more.
keep the audience thirsty for
Like-
more.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. I'm trying not to say anything.
Yeah, just to close things off, thank you so much, Miwa and Sara, for being with us today. I know that you guys are quite busy. Everybody is actually quite busy. It was great that we were able to get everyone all in one room for this little chat.
Yeah. Luckily, no one was late.
There are many delays.
Thankfully, no one was late.
Delays and
We were all
unexpected.
arriving on time to do our jobs properly. I'd like to thank.
Definitely.
I'd like to thank
It's okay.
Arc and City for being great
We're
moderators.
adults here, people. There's no
Fine.
shame. There's
Yeah.
No,
shame.
no.
Everyone did a great
It's
job.
okay.
Back pats all
Yes,
around.
we
and
did.
everything.
Had
Definitely.
fun.
Great.
So yes, as mentioned, we're probably going to we project our we hope to release at least one episode every 2 months. And then
Every 2 months?
No, it says here
Around?
supposedly we might release it
every month. Okay, so every
But-
Of course, yeah.
But only for 4 months.
And then we'll take a quick break in between to rest up. But it depends on how quickly we're able to put these out. Please forgive any technical difficulties in the future. We're still navigating our way around this platform.
Yeah.
But
We're just testing the waters
Yes.
here, and hopefully you enjoyed our first
yes,
episode.
look forward to the next one where we discuss what is roleplay and why is it even a thing. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone. See you on the next one.
Thanks for having
Bye.
us.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Check us out on Patreon.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna.
Chatterbox is brought to you by CittiSparks, an online role-playing community. Music by Damien Draw, sound editing by me, Arcane Halo, and CittiSparks. Today's episode was episode 1, What the Wardens Found. If you like this show and want to hear more, you can find it at Lacie's Box on YouTube. For more information on Lacie's Box, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Lacie'sBox.